Hi, everyone. Welcome to Talks with Gallagher, where we have conversations that inspire and empower both emerging leaders in the marketplace and ministry. Tonight, we have Dr. Varian Harris, and he is a faith based leader in Atlanta, Georgia. And you hold a Bachelor's of Arts degree in leadership and administration from Beulah Heights, and also a master's degree in Christian ministry from Liberty University. And you are currently in the process of obtaining your PhD in transformational leadership. And you really love and intentionally like to bring connection between both faith-based industry and the marketplace, which is perfect. So you are a transformational leader, entrepreneurial mastermind, and also you have a passion for transforming communities and helping people and their purpose. I'm just so delighted to have you on with us tonight, Varian, and I'm really glad that we have this opportunity to talk about this topic that is on your heart to share about transparency, or sorry, through uh, empowerment through transparency, and the need for transparency. And I'm reminded that you can't have transparency without accountability, and there seems to be a disconnect in the body of Christ with transparency and accountability. And how can you have empowerment without that? So, before we start, can you just share, for those that don't know you, just a little bit about your background and your story and your testimony?
Okay. Well, greetings, everybody. I am Dr. Varian Harris, and I'm elated and astonished to be here on tonight with you. I'm just want to give honor to John Gallagher for allowing me to have the privilege and the honor to be here. Um, Thank you so much for the opportunity to grace your presence and to grace this podcast, just to share what's on the heart and what's in the mind of Christ during this time and during this season. So I'm excited just to be here. Like everybody, my name, like I said, is Varian. I'm from Griffin, Georgia. That is my hometown. Born in Macon, but lived in Griffin all my life. I'm a PK kid. I grew up in
Oh,
ministry. I grew up
wow.
in church. And so I grew up in a way of Baptist. That I'm a
Mm,
Baptist. My mom and dad are Baptist pastors. And so everything I knew was all about ministry because we had to walk and breathe ministry all day. Being a PK
yeah.
kid. So there's a lot of things that we could not do to get in trouble, even though we did get in trouble
Mm,
being a PK kid. So
mm-hmm.
again, like my stature of growing up in that way. I'm did a lot of things in the community for us being at a young age. I mean, that's
Mm,
who my father was, and that's what I done. I could not,
yeah.
change or shift from that because that's how I grew up. My grandparents was community leaders in the community. We had our
Mm,
own parents grocery store that served the community that did not have
wow.
groceries in a particular area. So we come from a line of entrepreneurs, but we come from a line of faith-based leaders who always want to empower, always want to encourage our community where we at. Which
Mm,
led me to get my degree at Beulah Heights University, which is the oldest Bible college in the Metro Atlanta area. It is
wow.
104 years old. It was birthed out of Azusa Street. And so one thing you know about Azusa Street, they raised up fivefold leaders. They equip, they build, they encourage. And so
Mm,
being there, I was able to be imparted to be able to be enriched, be enlarged, and be able to grow my faith. In that, left from Beulah, went to Liberty University, where I was able to get my master's degree. And then from there, I'm pursuing my PhD degree, but I was able to still receive my honorary doctorate from Heart Bible Institute, who saw the work I was been doing in the field of ministry, community, and entrepreneurship and marketplace to be able to
mm,
instill upon me the honorary doctorate. And so, my faith walk has always been a place where growth and development. Um, did not know I had a apostolic call on my life. 'Cause I
mm,
didn't know anything about apostolic prophetic because of growing up in the Baptist society and Baptist denomination. There are things that you only do just focus on strictly on the structure and the confinement
mm,
of the church. What you
yeah.
only gonna be doing, choir, singing. All right, that my background is in singing. I was a worship leader. I'm,
Wow.
singer. So No, that's what I did. So
Hmm.
I was always part of the choir. I was part of the choir in high school and middle school. I was a part of the band. I played tuba
Hmm.
throughout the whole process. So with me, you always got music, but there was always something about my heart of developing leaders and cultivating leaders in their
Hmm.
skill set. So that empowerment always was there to grow. And so my story, what you will see and what you'll learn about me, is that you're going to see me always worshiping, but you're going to see me in a place of always empowering people to live out their
Hmm.
fullest dream and the fullest potential of what God has called it to be. So that's very.
Wow. Wow, that's beautiful. That's so good. Thank you so much for sharing a little bit about your background. And yeah, I mean, being a PK kid as well, and all that you absorbed and witnessed and experienced, I'm sure was preparation in some extent to what God is doing in and through you today. So thank you for sharing that background.
Oh yes, sir.
So yeah, that's good. That's good. Yeah, so we do have emerging ministry and marketplace leaders watching and listening to this podcast, and that's the vision behind this podcast is to reach those groups of people. You want to focus on the empowerment through transparency in this topic. Can you just share a little, just kind of unpack for us a better understanding for what that looks like for those in the ministry and the marketplace?
Mhm. When we talk about empowerment through transparency, it's mainly understanding that your grace or your gift can function in many, many, many places without you feeling like you're being bombarded just to the church. I
Mm,
think that we see the church as that we just only supposed to be that we only supposed to just be stuck there or just be stable there, but not
mm-hmm,
necessarily. Not everybody is called to the pulpit of the church. Pulpit
mm-hmm,
is in any area, any function that God has called us to be. Even your grace and gifting in the fivefold ministry, these are just gifts, even though we do have
mm-hmm,
office and we have ranks. But if we see ourselves as being disciple of Christ, that means I can flow and function however God wants me to be. Because at the end of the day, if I'm in the industry of business and God give me a word to share with that person, I'm still going to share that word with that person. They're going to inspire them because prophecy is for the unbelievers to hear what God is saying for them so they can be a witness to come over to Christ so they know that there is a
mm,
God. And so I'm just, that empowerment moment just for you to realize that it's okay to be who you are and be yourself
mm-hmm.
while you're striving and understanding your call on your life as you matriculated through your growth mechanism of maturity.
Yeah, that's so good. So, for example, how would, a marketplace leader as a kingdom-minded individual navigate in business environments and still be, someone who can represent the kingdom well, no matter, what, uh, area of profession they're in, So what would you tell them?
The way I would say how you matriculate through the industry of marketplace is that you got to understand the language. You got to
Mm,
understand the context of the culture or what environment that you're in. Do you have the language to speak into that environment? Do you have, and also, are you living the lifestyle of Christ to be the light, but while you're
mm,
learning the language in that particular area? Because I can still speak the mind of God in those particular area without saying, "Thus said the Lord," or without
mm-hmm,
saying, "I hear the Lord say," or in those way, but knowing how to properly discern the room or the area that you're in to know to speak to that particular person. In other words, know the language. Number two, am I living the lifestyle to be the light? Because in order for to be disciple, people know that you're different. People are going to see your continence and your character, how you grace yourself and how you walk into these places. So am I being the light in these environments
mm.
to be able to speak, be able to share what it need to be shared in these places in these areas.
Yeah, that's very good. It seems to be like a disconnect between, what happens in the church and what we do within the church, uh, you know, in the four walls versus what happens, in business settings, what happens in business environments, especially. So, can you speak to us? regarding navigating empowerment through transparency within the church, so we can see some distinctives
Mhm.
between both.
I would say one, we have to realize as a church and as a body or as a kingdom leader that not to carry ourselves in a way that I had to walk. Put it this way: when you go to the church, sometimes we put this present on, like I'm on, or
Mm.
I'm I'm the leader, or I'm the apostle, or I'm the pastor, I'm the. But we get out
Like
into the
put
world,
put a title, like a box of a title
box
around
of the
it.
title, right? And then we
Uh-huh.
go into the world when you work in the workplace. I'm just Varian, or I'm just people don't
Mm-hmm.
know, and I only act a certain way in those particular areas because I don't want them to know that I'm called, or I'm licensed or ordained. But
Mm.
the problem is that we have to understand that ministry is, no matter where you go, you still doing ministry, that
Mm.
you're still the walking vessel of God, no matter where you are. I was telling the class this on Sunday. I'm actually teaching a ministerial training class, preparing leaders for ministry, not just within the church, but also in the community and the marketplace. And one of the
Wow.
things I was sharing with them is that don't look at the titles, or don't look at ministry is just for the church.
Mm-hmm.
Ministry, if you see the example of Jesus, what Jesus did, Jesus walked in the field, in the presence of the people outside of the church, and he still carried himself in a way that she has shared the light and still shared the message that needs to be shared. But people still saw him as the Messiah. They also saw him as the carpenter. They also saw him as Mary and Joseph's son. So,
Mm.
but Jesus was still Jesus. He didn't shift. He didn't change. He didn't become a chameleon of what the world wanted him to be or what the church wanted him to be. He stayed. He
Mm.
remained himself, and knowing that he carrying the kingdom and carrying the message to deliver the people. And I think that what we need to do as a society, as a kingdom minded believer, that if you be yourself in the places that you're going, you'll be able to not only gravitate to people, but change people's lives while you walking and navigating these industries of being in the marketplace.
Okay. Yeah. Well, thanks for getting further definition to this. I think, for those that are trying to find language, to set for themselves regarding navigating this, whether they're called to marketplace ministry or called to the church, or sometimes people are called to both,
Yeah.
like yourself, right? Uh, so yeah, I think that will help people. I'm sure there's someone watching too where they have like a dream, like building a business, or they have a gift for entrepreneurialism. They have these aspirations, but they don't know exactly how to start building, or how to start assimilating the dream into reality. What would you tell those emerging marketplace uh, enthusiasts, if you will, you know whether it's millennials or Gen Zs, for example, regarding how to you know bring that dream to the surface?
Well, one of the things I had to realize, even with me growing up, that I'm a man of vision. I'm a visionary,
Mm. Mm-hmm.
and if people around you will tell you, "Oh, Varian got a many dreams, Varian got many visions, many ideas," and every idea. In my mindset, I'm thinking, because I have the ideas, that every idea I got to put it to work. I got to put it in
Mm.
place. I have to bring it to life. But I have to realize that not all ideas that I have may be a right now thing. I
Mm.
have to, number one, write the idea out, make it plain, and then realize, and then sit on it to see what is the timing for it to come to manifest, and to know
Mm.
when to properly engage in it, because you don't want to be a master of so much but have a master or be a master of nothing, because you wind
Mm.
up doing so many things that you look like you're all over the place, and you don't have nothing together, because you position yourself just to do every single thing. I got to put my hand in the pot. I'm listening to Kevin Hart's um audible book talking about taming your monsters. And I mean,
Mm.
we know Kevin Hart is phenomenal. He's a comedian,
Yeah,
but just
he's
to listen
great.
to his book talking about taming your monsters, he was talking about in reference of knowing what is your monster that allows you to get over beyond yourself. And one of the things he was talking about
Mm.
is the do it all monster. And a lot of times we don't realize that we allow the do it all monster to come out because I want to put my hand in so much because I don't want to feel like I'm left out of doing nothing, and I want to feel
Mm.
like I'm missing something. And then because it also feed into the place where you seeking so much affirmation for people, people pleasing, that you want to get in the process. I want to be here. I want to be here. I want to be here. And you're not called to do all those things. You have to find a balance in your life and in your
Mm.
things that what God has positioned you for, to know when do I launch this particular idea. And if this is God idea, once I launch it, then what is the preparation to make sure that the foundation is secure? Because
Mm.
if you see now, there's a lot of businesses, a lot of ideas who are being started or being incubated, but they are
Mhm.
falling. They are falling because the succession plan, that there's no set foundation on it. You see a lot
Mm.
of church, you see a lot of businesses starting up, and most businesses, new startup businesses, are lasting within what 2 to 3 years, because some of the business have not done its proper plan or don't have not the proper procedure of understanding that, did I really take the time out to know my audience? Did I really take the time out to
Mm.
know that, does this market really need what I'm offering? Am I really solving the problem? Does this problem really solve for a long duration of time? Am I really, you know, fulfilling the necessary needs to order to, you know, be a great steward? And also, can I pivot into the direction of things, especially in the times that things are changing, and especially with AI on the verge of coming through? Am I able to adapt
Mhm.
to navigate the change and shift with it, or do I
Mhm.
just sit here and continue to keep moving with the same vision that I have?
Mm.
Then that's why we see a lot of business are falling or
Mm.
closing, because we did not make preparation or building the foundation to make sure it's set. So I feel like that's be a way to us navigate and proclaiming to us to move forward.
Yeah, it sounds like being knowing how to adapt to certain emerging technological advances, being able to maybe build upon a foundation of a vision that you have previously, like you said too, having a succession plan, having a backup plan in your business plan itself when you're starting something is very important to the success and longevity of your business, right? So
Right.
yeah, that's very good. So like if you had an opportunity well, if you could enter a time machine and you visited your younger self like 15 years ago, what advice would you give your younger self then that would be important to know at that moment? You know,
What I would, if I would go back in time and talk to myself, I would tell myself
yeah.
it's okay to fail.
Mm,
And I mean by that, to fail forward. I I had
mm,
this fear throughout, and most people can tell you that this one of the biggest fears I had was a fear of failing. And it was
mm,
always taught from the principle of, if you fail, you will always be a failure and you will never succeed, you will never grow, you will just be
mm,
stuck because you will never see succession.
mm-hmm,
But looking at it from a different perspective from it now, that there are lessons learned in the process of failing.
mm,
We can see with most of our key leaders, in Bible, in history, throughout, times, that a lot of people fail in order to succeed. How many
mm-hmm.
times it took for, you know, um, for the person to discover electricity. It took them a while before they even actually discovered electricity. How many times it took for the
Yeah.
person to understand he was making peanut butter when he was, without, so
Yeah.
it's okay to fail forward, and
Mm,
and knowing that there are key lessons that I'm adapting, because it's making me grow stronger and mature throughout the process of failing. Another thing I would tell myself, um, it's okay to wait and not to
mm,
rush everything. And I said it because I rushed a lot of things. I rushed a lot of business ventures. I rushed a lot of ideas, and I didn't stay
Mm,
consistent with some of the things because I wanted it
mm,
right now. I wanted
mm,
it to happen when I thought it should happen. I wanted to. It's almost like to the place where I wanted to become God, and God wasn't moving fast enough, so I moved before God to start doing the things that I wanted to do because He told me that He
mm,
told me that I can do it, but He didn't give me the time frame. Because He didn't give me the
mm,
time frame, I jumped in and jumped ahead of God and started making my own thing work. So I would go back and
mm.
tell myself it's okay to wait it out, and move in the right direction when God has given you the time to do it, and not rush.
Yeah, that's so important. Not being afraid to fail, right?
Hmm.
And being patient with sometimes the most, being patient with yourself is sometimes the one of the most more difficult things. Sometimes it's easier to be patient with somebody else, but then when you try to be patient with yourself, it's like another level, right?
Right.
So yeah, that's so good. So yeah, you're sharing us some very important things. Be can you share with us maybe one thing that um you failed at, but then you were able to learn, and that lesson of learning and that you know position you for success and it for another time? Does that make sense?
Hmm. I can share. Back in 2000 and it was what 2007, where the Lord gave me a vision of doing a conference, and
Mm,
it was called Ignite My Fire Conference, and um that's I think this was time. Well, I didn't really have the vision all put together. I just had the idea, the structure, and it was like my fire conference. I did it during the year, doing around October, during the Halloween weekend. I feel like
mm,
while everybody else is going out celebrating, Halloween, we're gonna be in here in the chambers praying and seeking God and discovering tools and strategies of how to us to raise up the next change agent for God's kingdom. And so I did that conference from 2007 all the way up to 2012. There was a lot of things that I was growing in and learning, but um, not saying that the conference was successful, because it was successful during that time. But the failure part was I didn't. Number one, I didn't strategize. Number two,
mm,
I didn't have all of the funds and the necessary things to actually
mm,
put the conference on. Three, I utilized my student refund checks to put the conference on because I was moving in faith in operation. But at the same time, that was not wisdom. Number
mm,
four, I didn't charge for the event. Number five, I didn't have none of the resources to pay the speaker that came down. They actually flew out of town to come to the conference. So I was waiting on the night of the conference to raise up
mm,
funds to pay the speakers, and
mm,
even though the lives were touched and lives were changed out of the being zealous, but also being faithful to what I did, I thought that God was giving me. But there was some life lessons I had to learn in, because I wound up getting heartbroken in my year of 2012 when I did the last conference. I got
mm,
heartbroken because a lot of things were not going politically the way I thought it was supposed to go. A lot of the speakers could not show up, so I wound up had to speak, and I was not confident in myself to speak because I'm still in my mindset. I'm still training. I'm still learning. I'm still growing.
mm,
I didn't have a mentor. I didn't
mm,
have when I had a mentor at the time, but because I thought that I knew more than the mentor did, so I fired the mentor and started doing things on my own, and
yikes.
not realizing that I needed help,
Mm,
and I did not have a way out or somebody to be transparent with and be vulnerable with, because I knew it all. I had the mindset of that this is me and mine's alone, and I
mm,
don't need help because I'm D. Varian Harris.
yeah.
And after time spent, I have not did a conference since 2012, but I was doing a little pop up service here and there. But one of the lessons I learned through all of that that number one is not about me.
Mm,
Number two, am I really fulfilling the mission that God gave me, or am I trying to build a name for myself?
mm,
Number three, another thing I had to learn is when you don't have the resources, it doesn't mean that God not giving you the idea to do it. It just you need to take time to be able to get the resources that you need to make sure that this conference is going to be fulfilled all the way through. You don't want to
Mm-hmm.
leave a conference in debt, and you don't want to be broke because look at doing the fact that how am I going to take care of my bills after this? I didn't
Right.
have resources to take care of my bills, even though I'm still in school, a
Mm.
full time student, using my refund to pay for a conference that at the end of the day I didn't have anything left over to
Mm.
sustain myself. So those are key things that from now looking forward, I was able to now balance things out. Number two, I'm able to restructure how I see and how I do business and how I do ministry.
Mm.
Number four, that who's on my team? Do I have the right necessary team members in order to push the vision forward? Because you may have the vision, but if you're not able to share the vision with a team that can catch the vision, you're in a rude awakening and understanding that everything that you thought gonna come to pass ain't gonna come to pass right in that moment because
Mm.
you allowed yourself to move before the cart. You push the cart before the horse, or what that old
Mm.
saying used to say. You push it way too
Sure.
fast, and
Yeah.
so you have to able to learn how to balance yourself and balance the vision and idea that God has given you and check the
Mm-hmm.
motives behind it because what motive are you
Mm.
walking on? What motive do you have in order to do the thing that God telling you to do or the business idea that you have? Is it what motive? If the motive is about
Mm.
making money, or is the motive about solving a solution and solving a problem and you
Mm.
becoming the solution for it? Because it ain't gonna work if your motives is wrong in either way. You building a church or you building the
Sure.
business or you're gonna work in the political office. If you're gonna do anything in the industry, you have to check your motive. What motive are you working with in order to
Mm-hmm.
see it to function? Because God gonna be with you no matter where you are. But if your motives is wrong, you time will tell and you will see how things need to be adjusted in that process.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, motives are a huge, uh, yeah, so important in regards to the purpose and the why in which you do what you do. Right, that is extremely important. You were talking about mentors in your journey of what you've learned through your through the example you shared in your failures. Do you believe that mentors are critical to your success as a marketplace leader or also someone in ministry?
I think that we have to look at it mentorship in a way from this perspective. We go to school from pre-K all the way up to 12th grade. For some of us, we go to college. For every level that you grow in life, there should be a person there to help coach and guide you. A
Hmm.
counselor is not good if the counselor not getting counseling or getting or seeing a counselor. Or coach can't be an effective coach unless the coach is getting coached. A preacher can't be
Hmm.
a good preacher unless the preacher is getting preached to or preached at or being trained. So you have to have a person, and you also got to realize that mentor can't be everything of your life. You got to have different
Hmm.
mentors about different things in your life. If I need help in finance, I need a financial mentor or a financial
Hmm.
advisor or a financial person to help me navigate and navigate through my finances to make sure my finances is well established and balanced to have a good portfolio.
Hmm.
I need a mentor in education. If I want to further my education and get a PhD degree, guess what? I got to have a mentor who navigate those areas because those areas I have not been into yet. So they already master or prolificate in those areas. If I'm a pastor or a preacher and I'm planning a church and I'm starting a church from scratch, I still need a mentor to help guide me just even in the small stages of my development of planning the church.
Hmm.
Even in business, I have to have a business development mentor in order to grow because how am my business going to get how am I going to shift my business portfolio from $1 or $0 to $1 million portfolio?
Hmm.
I have to have a mentor. I can't do everything by myself because when the money started coming through or people started coming through, am I able to handle the weight that comes my way in order to be able to be a good leader to the people and a good leader to myself personally at home. So I would say a mentor is very necessary, and is a necessity for you to have in your everyday walk of life. You have to have a mentor. You have to have somebody to coach and guide you. And you got to be coachable. You can't think that
Hmm.
you're so smart that you don't need a coach. Even
Mhm.
your predominant famous people like Lisa Nichols and TD
Mhm.
Jakes and your
Mhm.
political leaders, they have mentors. They have they have other leaders around them. They help coach them. Reading the book, like if you may not able to, let's say you may not able to afford a mentor, but you
Mhm.
listen to a you want to be coached by John Maxwell. Okay, I don't have, I may not have the finances to pay John Maxwell $10,000 to get Coach one on one, but he made it so accessible that I can get his book to read and
Mhm.
understand how to navigate the laws of leadership and the laws of attraction. So I'm learning that. So when that moment do come, when I'm in that place to invest the $10,000, guess what? My mindset, everything about me, is going to shift to a whole nother level because not only I invested into the development of my process or my maturity to grow beyond where I'm at. So mentorship is necessary for you to have.
Yeah, it sounds like it's really important, and it's interesting you make the distinction between what a mentor can't just be a mentor to like all areas of your life, for example, but you need to know how the mentor that does come, how it fits in that particular area of your life, and how that can work, with you in what is being developed within you in that season, in that time of your life. Correct.
Yep, that's correct. And for me, like the reason why I said I'm so heavy on mentorship, for me being a coach and being a consultant to other leaders, and business owners, and business
Mm-hmm.
organization, there are things that your coach or your person can see the blind side that which you cannot see,
Mm.
because there's areas in your life that you're thinking within yourself that you're moving and matriculating, but there may be a blind spot that you may not see that your coach or your mentor can come in and say, "Hey, watch out for
Mm.
this," or "Hey,
Mm.
look out for this." "Hey, I don't think you may want to do that," because it's the coach job to give you advice. We're not telling you what to
Mm-hmm.
do. We're giving you advice and instruction. It's up to you, just like God does. God is your coach. God is
Mm-hmm.
your mentor, and he come and give us signs and warnings to show us what to what to navigate through, what to prevent ourselves from. Is up to us
Mm-hmm.
to upheed the warnings. If we do not accept the warning that comes our way, then there are consequences to every action. There are consequences to everything that we
Yeah.
put ourselves into. So don't think that we always say this: warning come before destruction. We and
Mm.
and and that's what your coach does. Your coach is there to help guide you and to coach you and give you advice through the political of your matriculation as you mature.
Yeah. Wow. That's yeah. Well said. So you know what books would you recommend, for just, I mean, you're a well read, or I can tell immediately that you love reading books. So like, is there like a book or two that you could recommend to um marketplace leaders, and also ministry leaders in navigating this space?
One of the books I like was Mal Monroe, The Kingdom.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the way to understand the world, from a kingdom perspective, from a kingdom mindset.
Dr.
Uh,
Miles Monroe,
yeah,
yes.
he broke it
Hmm.
down very politically for us to see kingdom in every single thing that we do,
Mm.
and he give us laws, he give us principles because it came from
Hmm.
a governmental stature
Mm-hmm.
in a way to us to see it, because everything that we do has governmental structure, have governmental guidelines, have laws and principles and regulations that we need to follow, no matter what
Yeah.
industry that you're in. And so I think that's one of the books for us to realize, to read, as being
Mm,
marketplace leaders, to knowing how to structure and how to navigate and how to put things in perspective in places of how to govern our own self, as well as govern our organization or our ministries and what we put into. So
mm.
I would say Dr. Miles Monroe. Um, another book is excuse me. Another book is Bishop T.D. Jakes' books,
Okay.
Disruptive Thinking. We have to be able to think disruptively. As kingdom leaders, that's what we do. We come to disrupt what may be the status quo or the
Mm,
norm. Um, prophets called to eradicate things are that may be, the norm. It's our job to come
mm-hmm.
into wreck house, or to, but we do it in a stewardship way, that it still speaks the mouth of God, but also come in humility. So we have to be
Mm,
able to know how to think beyond, just to think beyond where our mindset of just think on the surface, but we got to think beyond, like, where are we going to take us in the next 5-10 years from here?
mm,
How are we going to shift um to the next thing, and how do we pivot? And
mm,
if this industry stays in this way, and we're knowing based upon the currency, am I able to adapt and shift with the currency, how things are changing when talking
mm,
about financial? So I have to be able to think beyond just where I'm at and where the
mm-hmm.
world is at, because we have to see beyond that. So those two books I would recommend for those to read. And then always your
Great.
John Maxwell books,
Mm-hmm.
your Laws of Leadership,
Mm-hmm.
especially for a marketplace leader, for you to understand the mindset of a millionaire, Think and Grow Rich,
Mm.
the Disruptor, different books. One of the books I did read called the Acclimist. The Acclimist.
Oh,
That was
really? What is that about?
the Alchemist was a book. Um, the Alchemist was a book about a young man who was trying to understand the laws of life, and how to know the balance of how do I walk as a leader. But
Hmm.
he was a Muslim young man
Hmm.
who particularly learning the laws of how to become a wealthy leader. And but he was in but he was placed in certain areas of life for him to adapt and to grow from, and knowing how to accumulate do those particular areas. So he had different
Hmm.
stages of life he had to go through, that his family put him through, or he had to go through in order to rise up from those particular areas. So yeah, that's one of the things that I learned from that book, just knowing how to adapt from certain circumstances. Because no matter where you are, if you're poor, if you're homeless, that you're able to still arise for those particular areas. It's about you shifting the mindset, because your mindset
Mm-hmm.
is the vehicle to shift and change every single thing that you walk in.
Yes. Yes. Wow. That sounds really fascinating. Because we can always learn from other people's life experiences too, right? And
Right.
navigating that. So yeah, that sounds really fascinating. So in this similar vein, like what like leader, a marketplace leader and a ministry leader that you have looked up to in your life? You know, Obviously Jesus is the supreme example leader, but someone, who is uh on this earth, doing things for the kingdom, someone that you have looked up to over the years. Can you share with us that person, and why that person is someone you have looked up to?
Yeah, the one person that comes to mind that I always try to model myself, but then I had to realize that I'm varying, but I because of what this person have done throughout lifetime and expansion, that
Mm-hmm.
I can grow and learn from. Um, and that person is Bishop Jakes. Bishop Jakes he was the leader. He's my leader.
Mm-hmm.
I met him once. Ever
Really?
I met him once, and it's a funny
Wow.
story. And that info,
Can,
it was
can you
really,
share with us a little bit about that story? I'm really curious how you met
yeah.
TD Jakes.
I met him, but I didn't we really didn't really meet. But I went down for a conference that he was hosting in a in Dallas, Texas. It was called the Gideon Conference, where
Okay.
young leaders who are being emerging in ministry,
Mm.
who are 45 and under, who are
Okay.
much older in ministry. He did a collective group called the Gideon Conference, and this was my
Wow.
first time. I got invited to come. This is my first time even flying as well. Never flew in my life, but flew down to Dallas, got down to the Dallas Convention Center, because that's where the hotel was at, along all inside the mall and theater, all that. And so
Mm-hmm.
when I got down there, I was like, we had to go check in. So I didn't know where we were supposed to check in at. So I wound up getting on the elevator, and the elevator was Bishop Jakes in the elevator with his
Oh
bodyguard.
wow.
And so I got on there, and I was like, "Oh," I was telling my friend, I said, "Oh, that's the bishop, that's the bishop." I know what to say to him, and then like that, I looked behind them, and we rolled the elevator all the way up into the penthouse suite, and he looked at us. He said, "This the floor you supposed to be on?" I said, "Nope, we're looking for the looking for the floor level to check in." And so he he said downstairs. So he did his little voice like downstairs. And so we wound up he rolled back with us downstairs to make sure I get off the elevator to go check in and show what we go check in at. But that was the first time I ever meet him. I didn't get a chance to
Wow.
shake his hand because I was nervous, didn't know what to say.
Sure.
But just to be in the presence with him and see how he carried himself
Mm.
was a awe for me because I
Mm.
always watched him on TV, I always watched him online.
Yeah.
The first time I went to a conference was here in the Atlanta area when Juanita Bynum hosted a conference called the Threshing Floor Conference, and that was
Mm.
the first time I heard him spoke in person. And that's that was a life changing experience when I had there. So, but just to see
Mm.
how Bishop Jakes operates and how he moves, even though he's a bishop and he's doing ministry in a way, but he has a brilliant business mindset of how
Yeah.
he's navigating through the perspective walls and broke down barriers of the way church is being looked at, and to see it that we still can do business, and how he did
Mm-hmm.
movies and how he doing business
Yes.
entrepreneurship things. And now he's about to build a infrastructure, a community of homes here in the metro Atlanta area,
Wow.
partner with Tyler Perry. And so just to see those
Wow.
things, how he navigated those things out beyond the walls of the church, it kind of
Mm-hmm.
reminds us back where the disciples were business leaders. And when Jesus selected those 12 disciples, each person had a unique business in that. And so, we say Jesus was a carpenter, Paul was a tent maker, Peter was a fisherman, and they had their own business in order to navigate and be able to still do ministry, but still had their business still working behind the scenes. And so it was able to show those differentialities that I don't have to always be full time in ministry. I still can
Mm.
have I can still be bivocational, or I can still be prolific, not just bivocational. This is my vocation. That
Mm.
ministry is no matter where I'm at, I'm still doing ministry while still making money at the same time. So those were
Yes.
a pretty example of what I saw and how I matriculated moved through my life. So mhm.
Wow, that's great. Yeah. Yeah, having multiple streams of income as a minister, not having to rely on the people in the church for your salary. I'm also impressed by, Apostle Prophet Joshua Giles, where he said that he doesn't rely on the salary from the church for his income, that he has other means with real estate and
Mhm.
other avenues in his, obviously, his books now too are successful. And yeah, I'm also, like you were saying earlier with TD Jakes, very, as a media producer as well, like I'm very impressed with him wanting to bring quality kingdom films, and partnering with like Devon Franklin, right?
Yes. Mhm.
And yeah, and you also mentioned Tyler Perry as well, and working with uh you know high executive professionals in regards to creating stories that can make a difference in the world. And how some people may not step into the church, but they'll step into that movie theater,
Mhm.
right? And that's a message in itself,
Oh
right?
yeah.
So yeah, I have really found brilliance in what TD Jake has uh, exemplified in his life in navigating both the corridors of ministry and also the entertainment industry, because
Yep.
yeah, it's definitely needed, right?
Yeah, and we see it on in every walks of life. Like let's take Chick-fil-A. Chick-fil-A is brilliant
Mm,
at what they
mm-hmm.
do, but they are a faith based food industry,
Sure.
and they live their motto. They live out their motto. They stand on their knees, but you always gonna
Mm-hmm.
get a bless you at the end. So a person may
Mm,
not understand God or see God, but you're gonna see it and you're gonna feel it through the great customer service that you get with Chick-fil-A, or you're gonna get it if you go watch a
yeah.
movie. If you're gonna get it by walking with some of your leaders who are political leaders who love God and who are gonna speak God's word, but they see it how they display it in the courtroom or how they display it, on at United Nations and different things. So you're gonna see these
Mm-hmm.
things, and so we just have to get the mindset to know that ministry is not just the church. Ministry is no matter where I'm at and what God put positioned me in. Because right now I work in the healthcare field. Guess what? I see God move
Mm.
mightily through the healthcare field. We always say
Wow.
God is the healer, He's the doctor, but to actually see it and us walking it out of us being the light, people, I work in the senior citizen field, and so these
Wow.
seniors, they know, and they can feel when you're off and your body presence is off. They know the difference.
Mm.
So just to be in these environments, be in these areas, to see the hand of God being moved and the lives are being touched, just with one word, because some of your seniors do not see their family on a regular basis. Some of these seniors do not get a chance to see
Mm.
their loved ones, but because
Yeah.
you're there and being a light for them, you can share a word with them. Share about God, but also just be the presence just for them to live their life of change. Because you never know that you may be the last person they ever talk to before they leave the earth. So yeah.
Yeah, you could really make a difference in someone's life, even at that age.
Hmm.
Like you said, maybe their loved ones aren't able to be there like they could in the past, but you are kind of like being a surrogate son, if you will, for them in this
Hmm.
season of their life, which is still very impactful, right?
Yeah, very impactful, very impactful.
Yeah. Wow. Wow. This hour with you has gone by so quick.
Right.
I'm surprised how much time we have left here. So, is there anything more you want to share with us about empowerment through transparency before we conclude?
um I guess the only thing I can say, just that your life is an empowerment um to
Mhm.
people at your everyday life, your everyday walk. Just know that when you wake up in the morning and you know that you're living, that you're breathing, that's an empowerment.
Mm.
um your testimony that you share, that what you've been through, is an empowerment to someone,
Mm.
because we're overcome by the word of our testimony, the word of our brow, and just you sharing your life experience and your life journey and what you've been through can actually lead someone else to a successful life or a successful day because of what you've been through. I
Yeah.
overcome because of what you've been through. I may not be able to trample on the same thing that you trample on, but because you trample on it, I'm able to learn from the guidance that what you went through and know how to navigate and move forward, so I won't make the same mistake that you made. Your experience is a
Mm.
testimony for me to grow and to mature. But guess what? Your experiences that you've been through is an empowerment for someone else to see. And so just know
Mm.
that as you live your life and you walk throughout the day, that you are an empowerment to other people that watch you every single day.
Mm.
You may not be able to speak a word, you may not be able to preach a message over the pulpit or be live on Facebook Live like we are right now. But just know that your life and that people that see you, you are a walking testimony, you are a walking empowerment, because you keep living, you keep moving, and you keep being who you are and what God made you to be. You are changing lives no matter what you do, because you are an empowerment.
Wow. Let's go.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
Yes,
So,
sir.
so Dr. Varian, where can people find more about you, your ministry? learn about, maybe they can book you for a book engagement, where can people find more about your ministry and about you, your social
Well,
medias and all that?
Well, you can find me. Like I said, I'm on social media. I'm on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and we still got Twitter. So I got Twitter. So you can find me at Dr.Varian D.Harris. That is my tagline. You also go to my website at varianharris.com, where you can book, and also if you need coaching or consultation,
Mm.
or consulting for your business or organization, you can book me right on my website at varianharris.com. If you're looking to grow in your education and want to matriculate through the academia of life, we have our very own Bible college called Initiated Christian University. We are an
Wow.
accredited college. We have 5 accreditation, and we are also partner with the European accreditation over there in Europe with school with Finland. Our motto is where faith meets innovation. It is
Mm.
our job and it's our goal to encourage you, but also empower you, but transform you to think that faith can be innovative. You can always be transformed. So we have technology degrees where you can get your certification and degree in AI technology,
Wow.
cybersecurity, data science, and information technology, and an MBA program with AI. Um, These are self-paced, self-online programs at an affordable rate. You can learn. And so go to initiatedchristianuniversity.com. You can see everything that we offer from bachelor degree all the way up to the PhD degree. Um,
Wow.
so that's who we are. So yes, I am a president and founder of my own Christian Bible College that is accredited 5 times. So we're matriculated through academic level, and we're changing the hearts and lives of people so they can see where faith meets innovation. So I'm excited. I'm just here. Thank you again for allowing me to be here. Again, it was definitely an honor. John, you are definitely changing lives by having different people on here, and you are God's leader. You are definitely setting the stage to spread the gospel in such a way for people to understand what God is saying for them. So I honor you today for allowing me to be here. And John, continue to keep walking out the apostolic call that's on your life as you're, changing the way the gospel is being seen through media. So again, I'm excited.
Thank you so much for those kind words. Yeah, that's really amazing that you have this university, this school, and yeah, that's so needed today. Education can really change someone's life for the better, and
Yeah.
it's really needed today. Quality education. So yeah, that's spectacular. So everyone, check out the university. Check out Dr. Varian's website, where you can, if you're looking at needing further consultation in business or in ministry, or in this sphere of influence, that reach out to him and book a time with him. And yeah, I'm just so thankful and grateful and an honor to have you on with us. And thank you for sharing some wisdom gold nuggets with us and navigating the space of empowerment through transparency, and for those emerging marketplace leaders and those also in ministry. And yeah, putting language to definition, to action, to what is presented in their call and what
Yeah.
God has led them to do. So really appreciate your time today.
Thank you so much. Thank you. I'm really honored. Thank you, sir.
Awesome. Well, everyone, please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to this episode for those that need greater empowerment, no pun intended, in their business dream, in their ministry, and what God has called them to do. This is an episode that needs to be shared with those people, especially those emerging leaders in the marketplace and the ministry. So thank you, everyone, for watching. Until next time, Talks with Gallagher. We'll see you soon. Bye, everyone.